Are we all set?
Yes, we are live.
Okay, then I would like to call the May meeting of the City of Akron Housing Appeals Board to order. Board members, you received the minutes of the previous meeting in the mail. Are there any changes, additions, corrections to those minutes? If there are none, the minutes stand approved as mailed. Thank everyone for coming who's here to talk to us about property this evening. Anyone addressing the board needs to be sworn in, so I will ask Mr. York, will you lead us through that process, please?
Sure. Anyone who will be testifying tonight, if you could please unmute your microphone and raise your right hand. Attorneys appearing on behalf of clients do not need to be sworn in. Okay, and also housing staff, if you might be testifying. Okay, please answer this question. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. York. I believe Mr. Grigger will now return everyone to the waiting room until we are considering the case, that the property that you are here to talk to us about. Please remember, when you are talking to us, we do have a court reporter who is taking down the proceedings tonight. So we try to help her out if we can by speaking slowly and clearly to make her life a little bit easier. So, Mr. York, do you want to send folks back and bring us our first property?
I'll be returning everyone to the waiting room that's not part of the first case. One moment. Okay, I believe we have the owner of 1045 Stroman, and we also have a neighbor who did not swear in. She never unmuted and is not showing on video. So.
Okay, Ms. Sutton, you are here to talk to us about 1045 Stroman? You're muted.
Would you like me to read the case into the record?
Yeah, in a minute. I just want to make sure she can hear and we can hear.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Jody, first case?
New case 5879, 1045 Stroman Avenue. There has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated, tax delinquent, and not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the housing division recommends that it be demolished with all costs assessed.
Thank you.
Let me pull the pictures up here.
Mhm.
Okay. I inspected the property on, what day was there? On May 17th, 2021. Items include provide a permit for the roof, siding, electric, plumbing, fire restoration, hot water tank, and furnace. There's new electric, plumbing, framing, and a new hot water tank at the property. To do, repair the right front fascia and soffit, remove the full dumpster, cut the grass, repair broken windows, missing window storms and screens, missing storm doors front and rear, tuck point chimney, trim bushes, install gutters and downspouts, secure the entrance cable, paint the trim, add gravel to the driveway, repair the garage roof, siding, doors, and paint, finish the electric, plumbing, drywall, flooring, kitchen and bath fixtures, clean and seal the basement walls, install light fixtures, outlets, and switches, install smoke detectors, and restore the utilities.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Stroman, could you give us your name and address for the record, please?
Sutton.
Sutton,
Carrie
I'm sorry,
Sutton.
I'm sorry, I had the street.
Carrie Sutton, and the property is 1045 Stroman Avenue, but my mailing address is 826 East Archwood, 44306.
Okay, so what would you like us to know about this?
Well, I had some financial difficulties in the past few years. My son has been helping me with the repairs with himself and a friend that does side work.
Okay, yeah, there have been orders on the property for what, 3 years now?
Correct.
So what are your plans for this?
To rehab it for rental property.
And do you have the finances now to be able to do this?
I do. Yes.
And
With
how long,
helping my son.
how long do you think it would take to complete?
Probably another 60 days.
Really? I'm impressed.
Right.
That's,
I'm not sure. I'm sorry. My son has been in charge of the project with, like I said, a friend who does side work. And they started the project in July of 2020. So, they did have to get the inside, but the roof and the siding was done in July.
Ms. Forrester, does 60 days seem reasonable?
If there was a crew that went in that knew what they were doing, yes, 60 days would be reasonable. The issue is, and I told them to stop work on the property as of yesterday when I was there. There's been framing work that's been done. Their house has been rewired. It's been replumbed. There's a new
No
hot water
permits?
tank. Correct. There were no permits for any of that work. There was also no permit pulled for the roof and the siding.
That has been completed.
Correct.
Okay. You got a problem, Ms. Sutton.
Okay.
Wow. Well, board members' questions. I'm thinking about this.
I do have a question.
Mhm.
Are you aware of the delinquent taxes on the property?
Yes, I was going to address that. I have not contacted them yet.
Okay, thank you.
Jody, explain what the process is or what needs to be done or what will be done for the roof and the siding that have been completed, work without permits.
It's considered not done
Okay,
until a permit is obtained and it's inspected and passed by the Summit County Building Department. It's not considered completed.
okay, thank you. So Ms. Sutton, I have no idea where the board's going to go with this. If the board were to grant an extension of time, how would you prioritize? What would you get done in the next 30 days?
The windows, the garage. So would the roof and the siding have to be redone by a licensed contractor?
Unless you can get a licensed contractor to pull the permit for you and accept the work that's already been done.
Okay. And then the doors and, as they mentioned, the gutters. Now, is the chimney needs to be redone?
It needs to be tuck pointed. That means there's mortar missing from between the bricks.
Tuck pointed, okay. And I'm sorry, and the grass, the landscaping.
I would suggest that one of the things you do in the first 30 days is to find a contractor or a general contractor that can obtain these permits for you.
Yes, okay. Will do.
Jody. Wait a minute, maybe I can find it. Were there issues? I don't remember. Were there issues with the foundation?
We didn't have an order on the foundation other than it needed to be painted.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's go back and recap what you would try to get done in the next 30 days.
The windows, the doors or the access doors, the garage, the landscaping, and then the permits. And you're saying gravel in the driveway? Gravel in the driveway?
That's one of the things that need to be done.
Okay.
Is that something that you would prioritize in the first 30 days, or would you wait?
Yes.
Okay, now earlier you mentioned gutters and tuck pointing the chimney. Is that still, you still thinking about that,
Yes.
or is that something? Okay.
Yes.
And Jody, could you go over again what, other than the roof and the siding, what else needs permits?
The electric, plumbing, the framing work that's been done, hot water tank. If the furnace gets replaced, because as of right now, it's in pieces. If the furnace is replaced, then that would require a permit too. If it's repaired, then it would require documentation from a licensed contractor.
Okay, thank you. Board members, questions?
Seems like it's been found vacant and open a lot in the past couple of years.
I'm not seeing that on my synopsis.
I see it.
No, we've never secured the property.
There have been several complaints on this property, and several of them from the council person for that ward, which is concerning.
I have a question.
Sure.
This is directed to the Ms. Sutton. Are you
Mhm.
aware that the taxes are delinquent $2,400 at this time?
I knew they were in the thousands. I didn't know the exact dollar amount.
I believe at this point it's 2,469 cents.
Okay. I will contact them tomorrow.
They can set you up with a payment plan.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
there's also a neighbor here that was not sworn in and has not been positively identified that was here to speak also.
Okay, are they in the room with us?
Yes.
Okay, who is the neighbor that would like to talk to us about 1045 Stroman?
I am the neighbor at 1049 Stroman Avenue.
And your name,
Next
please?
door. Glennis Miller.
Oh, shoot.
And you live next door?
Yes, I do.
What would you like us to know about this?
Ms. Williams,
I
maybe
was just
could I
on,
swear
Oh,
her
she
in
was
first?
not sworn, is that correct?
Correct.
that is correct.
Ms.
Okay.
Miller, Ms. Miller, could you raise your right hand, please?
Yes,
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, nothing but the truth?
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Sure.
Okay, Ms. Miller, now, what would you like us to know about this one?
I was just on here to see what is going to happen with the property. Like I said, I'm directly next door, so we look out at it every day, and I just wanted to know what was going on tonight.
What would you like to see happen to it?
If she can get it cleaned up, I would love that, but I don't know, but it does need to be cleaned up.
Okay, thank you. Any other thoughts from the board, or is there a motion?
Seeing none.
I'd like to make a motion.
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that we grant an extension of 30 days in order for Ms. Sutton to obtain the correct permits that are needed, such as the electrical, plumbing, permit for the hot water and the furnace, in order to have that materials correctly installed or approved by a contractor. To allow time for repair of the doors, to replace the broken windows or windows that need replacing, to work on the, did she say that she was gonna, did you say, Miss Sutton, you would work on the garage or not?
Yes. Yes.
But that would entail having to have a permit for a new roof or to replace the roof shingles.
On the garage?
I believe so.
No.
If you replace, no? Okay, then I guess you don't. That's good.
Thank you.
And I think there was another thing that was mentioned about the repair and replace the gutters or something to that effect, the downspouts in an approved manner, so that the draining from the downspouts would be away from the foundation. And to keep the property clean and secured exterior wise.
Yes.
Before we get a second, Ms. Sutton also indicated that she would tuck point the chimney and add gravel to the driveway. Did you want to add that to your motion or not, Lenita?
Yes, to tuck point the chimney and to add gravel to the driveway. Is there anything else that I missed?
You said landscaping.
Yeah, the landscaping.
Okay, and to landscape and keep the area clean and of refuse of debris. I believe cleaning the shrubs or hedges was also something That was part of the landscaping.
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Good luck, Ms. Sutton.
Thank you. So
The
Go ahead.
next hearing is on June 15th. You'll receive another letter letting you know that you need to contact me to schedule an inspection prior to. the hearing.
okay, that was gonna be my question. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for us, Ms. Sutton?
No, not at this time.
Hey, thank you very much and good luck.
Thank you. Now, if I do have questions, do I contact Jody or do I
Yes.
contact Dwayne? Jody?
Mhm.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm going to return them to the waiting room and bring in the folks for 637 Davis. One moment. Mr. Brown was not sworn in.
Would you like me to swear him in now, Madam Chair?
Is he with us?
I can't see him.
He's connecting right now.
Okay. Mr. Brown, can you hear us? No, it's still connecting.
I'm going to try putting him back in a waiting room and bringing him back in, see if that helps.
Go in the chat and ask her to send.
Madam Chair, he's still connecting. I would suggest announcing the case, allowing the neighbor maybe to testify, and hopefully in the interim, Mr. Brown will get.
We'll be able to get him. Okay. Jody, can you present the case for us?
New case 5874, 637 Davis Street. There has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, found open, heavily vandalized, dilapidated, the scene of police activity. The owner is deceased. It is tax delinquent, has been secured by the city, and is not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the housing division recommends that it be demolished with all costs assessed. The property was inspected on May 14th, 2021. There's high grass at the property that's already been posted by customer service. Clean and paint the siding. There's a hole in the roof, missing storm doors, broken boarded windows, missing downspouts, remove vegetation, repair the front service steps, repair the fence. The rear gutter is missing, and there's minor trash and rubbish in the rear yard.
Hey, thank you. Ms. Kidder Briggs, you are here to talk to us about 637 Davis? You're muted.
I own 645 Davis Street to the left
Okay,
of the property.
Could you give us your name and address for the record, please?
Barbara Kidder Briggs, And I live at 1006 Bunker, Bunker Drive in Fairlawn.
Thank you.
And I own this property also for
You
the
own
last 19 years. I own 645 Davis
Okay.
Street.
Okay. What would you like us to know about this one?
Well, I just wanted to say for the last 19 years, nothing has ever been done. They keep saying they're going to improve it. You know, there's like drug needles there.
And you're tired of that?
Squatters. Yes. And my son lives at 645 and he's handicapped and I'm, and it's a dangerous situation. And I want that, I would hope that you would see that house would be torn down.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask, what you would like to see done with it.
Yes, because you can see that it's falling in. It's dangerous.
Thank you.
Yes, there's been squatters in there and all kinds of terrible things going on. So.
And it's been vacant for how long?
I don't know. Quite a while.
Okay. Years?
Yes. And at one time people were living in there and they were like trying to steal electricity from the power lines and stuff. And it's just been a mess for years and years.
Thank you.
And now it's fallen apart totally.
Thank you. Let's, is Mr. Brown with us now? Mr. Brown, if you can hear us, you are muted and we can't hear you.
He should be connected. I've asked him to unmute.
Yeah, it appears that he's connected. I'm still showing him muted. There he is.
Can you hear me now?
We can, Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown, you will need to be sworn in. Mr. York, can you do that for us?
Sure. Mr. Brown, could you please raise your right hand? Answer this question for me. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Brown, what is your interest in this property?
I spoke to the previous owners or the owners now. His name is Steve. His mom used to stay there. He's actually out of town. I was actually interested in buying this property like now.
Have you been able to reach him?
I spoke to him before. I haven't been able to reach him in like about a couple months here. Like I said, he said his mom used to own the property, they own the property. She passed away. And he is living out of town, so he really doesn't want anything to do with it.
Okay, did you?
And I was wondering, could I go to the city to purchase this property to get it fixed up and renovated?
City doesn't own the property, so you can't buy it from them. Do you know? Are you aware of? I guess you would be, but you're aware of the condition that this property's in.
Yeah, I stay around the corner on Moraine Avenue.
And you know that there's a little over $6,000 in back taxes due on it.
Yeah.
And Jody, we have not been inside. Is that correct? We don't have any interior orders.
Correct.
Yeah, have you been inside the property, Mr. Brown?
No, I haven't been inside the property.
Yeah, my guess is that there's considerable amount of work that will need to be done to the inside of the property.
And the titled owner is deceased.
Yeah.
Yes, she's deceased.
So
the property would have to be probated by the family. Yeah. The family has had no interest in the past in probating it.
Yeah, they declared to Housing Division several years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago, that they had no interest in the property and have done nothing.
Which means they're not going to pay for probate.
So they would have to be the people who probated. I
Yes.
couldn't pay for it.
Probate is a long, expensive process. And
Yeah, I know.
all the kids would have to be on board.
Yeah, I have not personally seen
Is
this
it a
house.
whole, is it the whole family or is it just him in charge?
I have no idea, but when you probate a property, you have to include all the heirs.
This is just a guess on my part, Mr. Brown, but I'm thinking that the investment in this property would be way more than it's eventually going to be worth.
Okay, I'm gonna try to reach. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask if any of the other board members have thoughts, comments, or questions for either Mr. Brown or Ms. Kidder Briggs.
Besides,
I had a question for Mr. Brown. With the taxes at this point, and every 6 months, do you think that you would have the finances to be able to at least get that out of the debt of the taxes, $6,000 to start with?
Yes.
Because it's going to be taxes still go on, and then probate is a long process, as our other board member explained. It's very costly, and
Mr. Robertson, oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, no, go ahead.
the house itself is not in the best condition, not even fair.
Do you know how long it's been actually empty for?
I believe, didn't the neighbor say that at least it was 5 years or so?
I'm thinking, I'm guessing 2017, maybe.
But the taxes have been going on unpaid for a long time.
Yeah. When I spoke to him, he said that they hadn't been keeping it up because, like I said, they're out of town and they had no interest in, trying to rent it out or anything like that.
Mr. Brown, there is a hole in the roof. Anytime there is a hole in a roof for any extended period of time, the water damage inside usually is considerable. Everything from falling plaster to wood, rotting wood breaking down. It's just something you need to think about.
And mold.
Right.
The property was listed as vacant as of October of 2017. After that point, there were occasions when squatters were removed from the property.
Okay.
It's a long time.
Okay. All right. Well, I definitely appreciate that information. Like you said, it's a lot to think about, especially with the hole being a roof. And like you said, over that many years, or that length of period of time, it could be a lot of extensive damage there.
But I think the biggest hurdle, is that for you probably would be the probate.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to reach back out to him and see if there's any way that I haven't reached out to him in a while, but I'm gonna see if there's any way that I can reach out to him to maybe take a look inside or anything like that and kind of go from there.
Right.
Mr. Brown, I would wait until you see what happens at this meeting this evening.
Okay.
Because the board might order the property torn down, in which case.
Torn down. Right.
Yeah. In which
Right.
case it will, the owner will still own the lot if you wanted to contact them about buying the empty lot, but.
Right.
Any other questions or thoughts from the board? If not, is there a motion?
New
Have to make
case.
a motion. Oh, go ahead.
Mr. Robertson, go ahead.
New case 5874, the property at 637 Davis Street. In that there has been no compliance with orders issued against this property. The property is vacant, open, vandalized, dilapidated, and the scene of police activity. The owner is deceased. The property is tax delinquent, has been secured by the city, and is unregistered. The deteriorated condition is a blighting influence on the neighborhood. I move we raise with cost assessed.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Jody, would you explain to Mr. Brown and Ms. Kidder Briggs what happens when a property is ordered raised?
When a property is ordered demolished by the Housing Appeals Board, we have to hold that file for 30 days to see if we receive an appeal of that demolition order. If we do not receive an appeal of the demolition order, we then send the necessary paperwork to the demolition program. They then proceed to have the utilities disconnected, the property inspected for asbestos removed from the property if it's found there, and then the property will be demolished. This process takes a year or two.
Okay,
All righty.
But the process has started.
okay. So within a year or two, it'll be torn down?
Correct.
Thank you.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown and Ms. Kidder Briggs. Thank you both for taking the time to come and talk to us about this property.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
I'm bringing in Mr. the attorney for 30 East Brookside.
Okey doke.
Good evening, it's John Tarter for US Bank.
Good evening, Mr. Tarter. Could you give us name and address for the record, please?
Yes, John R. Tarter, Rosenfeld and Associates. Address would be 3962. I don't often give it, I apologize. Red Bank Road, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45227.
Thank you. Jody, can you present the case, please?
Yes, review case 5845, 30 East Brookside Avenue. At the Housing Appeals Board meeting of April 20th, 2021, the board granted an extension until May 18th, 2021 to allow the lien holder to engage in property preservation efforts, keep the property secure, and keep the property free of refuse. The exterior only of the property was inspected on May 14th, 2021. There's been no change to the exterior.
Okay, Mr. Tarter, what do you want us to know? Where do we stand?
Well, the board will recall that I was present for the first time related to this property at the April meeting. At that time, Donald Lee Drennan was also present. Mr. Drennan is Brooke Keller's husband. She passed away. You all are familiar with those circumstances, I'm sure, through his testimony previously. Mr. Drennan had applied for loss mitigation with my client, specifically seeking a forbearance in order to take possession of the property, apply for or assume the loan on the property, make the necessary repairs required by the board, and then ultimately acquire title to it. My client was working with Mr. Drennan toward that purpose. And of course, much to all of our surprise, he showed up at the April hearing and completely absolved himself of any responsibility. The application that he made for forbearance is unfortunate for my client because it puts my client between a rock and a hard place. With the application, federal regulations promulgated by the CFPB became applicable, which prevents my client from foreclosing or doing anything during the time period that the forbearance is in place. It's going to end on July the 1st of its own accord. Since Mr. Drennan's abandonment of the property, my client issued a 5-day notice letter to him seeking an opportunity to enter the property and to enact preservation services. He did not respond to that. He did not respond to any of my correspondence. related to his status as to the property, in which I asked him specifically for the release of his interest in the property and permission to forego or end the forbearance period so that my client could take possession and do what's necessary to preserve it. Just as recently as a couple of hours ago, I did manage to get him on the telephone, and I asked him again for an opportunity to get the forbearance rescinded. He promised me that he'd send an email to that effect that I could send to my client, and he did not do that. So the dilemma here is the board's requiring much needed repair and preservation services, but the CFP regulations prevent my client from taking possession of the property until the forbearance ends. We can either violate the board's orders or we can violate federal law. The only resolution that I could see to this at this point, as the property does have some value, I believe I was asked at the last proceeding what the value of the property was according to a broker price opinion or appraisal. The originating broker price opinion had the property at $65,000, and the indebtedness is approximately $58,000. With repairs, of course, the property would be worth even more, and some estimates that we have seen indicate that it might be worth $90,000 on the market as it is right now in Akron. I don't know whether or not that's true, but what I would suggest to you here is that this is a good property that does have value, which would include enough to take care of my client's mortgage loan interest after preservation services are applied to it, and perhaps remarket it to someone who would want to purchase it and would enjoy it as a home going forward. But that's not where we are. Where we are right now is I've got a forbearance in place and I can't act. What I hope we could do is continue this to the July meeting. I'm aware that this has been pending for quite some time through no fault of my client, primarily through the fault of Mr. Drennan, who made promises to this board and to my client with regard to restoration of the property that he did not keep.
Mr. York, any thoughts for the board?
Well, I really don't have any legal opinion that would help the board at all. I mean, the board is allowed to give 30, 60, 90-day extensions. Considering the situation that Mr. Tartar's client finds himself in, it seems that the board may consider an extension until the July meeting, but considering they can begin to act on July 1st, it might be a good idea to get some items listed as to what the board would want to see addressed immediately, as starting July 1st, so that when the July meeting rolls around, there would be good things to report.
Thank you.
Am I
Questions
correct?
or-
Oops, excuse
Go
me,
ahead.
Kim. Am I correct that the nothing could really be done with this until the estate of Brooks Keller is adjudicated in court? And after that, then there's a matter of the bank filing to take over the property. Sounds like it could be a lengthy process.
I may address that. Not exactly. The mortgage allows my client to take possession and to do those things necessary to preserve it and to prevent it from being subject to liens and or condemnation. So preservation can occur before the adjudication of an estate. It can occur before the foreclosure on the mortgage. That's what we're hoping for. I don't know that an estate would be necessary in order to proceed with a foreclosure if that's what my client decides to do. There have been other occasions that we have filed foreclosure, which we have named the unknown heirs of the debtor and any and all parties who are a peer of record as the defendants. So I think the estate is pretty much irrelevant at this point.
Jody, am I correct on this one that we don't have interior orders? Is that right?
We did not issue interior orders, but I've been inside on numerous occasions and have a laundry list. You have seen photographs of the interior and I've read lists of interior. The interior is pretty much gutted.
Yeah.
Down to the studs.
Yeah. Mr. Carter, have you seen this house?
I have not.
Okay. Other than the lovely pictures that
Yes, ma'am.
Jody's showing us.
I do have Miss Forrester's punch list of the things that need to be done, interior and exterior, to bring it up to code, which I've
Okay.
supplied to my client. We're fully aware. And Ms.
Okay.
Forrester's been most helpful to us in ascertaining what the situation is and how it might be addressed.
Okay, board, what do you think? So is my understanding correct that your client could begin doing some sort of restoration repairs the 1st of July?
Yes, ma'am. That's my understanding.
Board members, what's your pleasure? Jody, have we had much? I don't remember that there was in our synopsis, but have we had much neighborhood communication about this property?
No.
Okay. If there are no other questions, is there a motion?
Okay.
I think one is percolating in Mr. Dobberton's mind.
Yeah, always. I'm a coffee lover. I'm hesitant. Well, I'd like to give the bank a chance. Past performance by banks and out of state or out of town properties has not been good. And I'm having a hard time justifying the end value. But before we would even know anything, we would have to go to the July meeting. Okay, my take is if we don't have neighborhood complaints, and from the front, it's not horrible, the back is another story. Review case 5845, the property at 30 East Brookside Avenue. I move we grant an extension until our July meeting to allow the lien holder a chance to begin preservation of this property. Keep the property secure, free of debris, and schedule. Jody, do you need an interior?
There's not going to be any changes since the last
Well,
inspection.
then leave off the scheduling, just to keep the property secure, free of debris.
Well, Michael, let me ask, if our meeting is not until the 3rd Tuesday of the month, if they can begin their work at the beginning of the month, would we not want an inspection to see what has been done?
Okay.
I'm throwing a question out there.
That's 3 weeks is a reasonable assumption. Yeah. So we'll tack on an interior inspection, which will require a week's advance notice to Ms. Forrester.
This will also give the bank a chance to actually get into the property and decide whether indeed they want to move forward with trying to save it. Is there a second?
And could I add one thing?
Yes.
And also with them at that point in time to be able to submit at our July meeting a work plan of the work that they want to do, in what timely fashion, 30 days, 60 days. I'm sure if they were doing it, it's professional and it can be done expedited very quickly, but a plan of attack on the.
I'll accept that into the motion. Did you catch that, Mr. Tartar?
I have notes, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so the motion is to grant an extension until our July meeting to allow the bank to begin their preservation repairs, to come to us with a plan for future repairs, 30, 60, 90 days, and to keep the property secure, free of refuse, and schedule an interior inspection before our next meeting. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Carter, before we vote on this, does that sound reasonable to you?
It does, and thank you.
Okay, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Good luck, Mr. Tartar.
Thank you. I'll be in touch, Ms. Forster.
Certainly, thank you.
Nice
And our-
picture, Jody. I saw the outside of it. This is the first I've seen the inside of it, the dishwasher.
Mr. Gregor, will Mr. McGee be joining us?
This is Michael McGee. Can you hear me?
I can. You have joined us.
Okay. Can you see my, I don't know. I think I turned my video on.
Yep, we got you.
Okay.
Okay, Jody, will you present the case, please?
Appeal case 0522-601 Talbot Avenue. This property was inspected on March 15th, 2021 in response to a new complaint. Violations of the City of Akron Environmental Health Housing Code, Chapter 150 were noted, and orders dated March 15th, 2021 were issued. An appeal of the orders was received on March 25th, 2021. The Housing Appeals Board granted a continuance until the 5/18/21 meeting. Now, this appeal is in regards to the second set of orders that I issued. Not a copy of the orders, hold on. All right, so that was to provide adequate heat, properly install approved heating facilities, and to restore the electric. Those items have been addressed.
Okay, Mr. McGee, could you give us your name and address, please?
Yes, Michael McGee for is this Kronos case or Zeus case? I'm sorry.
My notes say Kronos, but
Okay,
they both do online, so.
okay. So on behalf of Kronos Properties, Post Office Box 1051, Warren, Ohio, 44482.
Okay, so where are we?
So the Ms. Forster was there at this property today to take a look at the repairs that have been made. I think she just said that the electric had been addressed. We're still going to get an electric inspector to come over and give us a report so that I can provide that to Ms. Forster. I'm looking at the list for the citations here. The flooring in the kitchen has been repaired.
That's on the other appeal.
Oh. Well, which one are we looking at now then?
This one is in regards to provide adequate heat, properly install approved heating facilities, and restore the electric.
Oh.
These were the orders that were issued on March 15th, 2021. I stated those have all been addressed.
Oh, yeah, they've all been addressed. Okay, well then, I guess I don't
Okay,
have anything to say, right?
Right, so
It's a moot
since
point.
the appeal was appealing the orders, I'm assuming since you fixed the issues, you agree that the orders were valid and something needed to be done. Is that a mistaken assumption?
Ms. Williams, I think if I could give a little guidance on that.
Okay,
what we've done in the past, most recently, is recommend the board make a finding that the issues are now moot because they're addressed.
Thank you. You're right. We did do that last month, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. And I think that's just a cleaner way to do it.
Rather than denying the appeal.
Yes.
I don't have any objection to that.
Wonderful.
Is there a motion from the board or are there questions for Mr. McGee?
How about appeal case 0522? Property at 601 Talbot Avenue. Since the issues that were being appealed have been repaired, the issues are now moot. I move we dispense with this.
Ron, could you give us appropriate wording, please?
Well, I think you can make the finding that because the repairs have been made, the issues.
The appeal is moot?
Yes. That would work.
You have that, Mr. Dauberton?
Yes.
Could you state it for
Appeal
us?
is now moot. Mhm.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any questions? Any discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Okay,
Okay. Appeal case 0521-601 Talbot Avenue. This property was inspected on December 21st, 2020 in response to a new complaint. Violations of the City of Akron Environmental Health Housing Code, Chapter 150 were noted and orders dated December 21st, 2020 were issued. An appeal of the orders was received on January 7th, 2021. The Housing Appeals Board granted a continuance until the May 18th, 2021 meeting. The property was inspected today at 1 o'clock. The majority of the repairs have been completed. I will now read you a list
Jody,
from the repairs that I noted in December, no additional repairs. Yes.
Jody, I'm gonna, we did not get any orders with Appeal 522. The orders that I got with Appeal Case 521 are provide adequate heat and properly approved heating facilities. Properly install approved heating facilities.
521 was, the first order was to repair the wiring. The
Okay,
second order was.
we didn't get any of those this month, so, okay, go ahead.
Right, you did receive them previously. I do
Yeah.
apologize that those were not in your packet.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to make sure I had them correct. Okay. I'm
Okay,
sorry I
Do you
interrupted.
want me to go over the orders or do you want me to go over my inspection?
Go over the inspection.
Okay. So the electric had been mostly addressed and Mr. McGee and I agreed that if he provided certification from a licensed electrician, that would take care of that issue. And he agreed that he would do that if I granted him time to obtain that information. The only other electrical issue remaining is a loose outlet in the first floor bedroom. The outlet is pretty much hanging out of the wall. If you grab a hold of one of the plugs, the outlet moves inside the wall. And that was noted at my inspection in December. Let's see here. Let's go back to the first photograph. This was noted at my inspection in December, stagnant water in the dishwater. That can either be resolved by repairing the dishwasher and cleaning it or just removing the dishwasher. You don't have to have a dishwasher. All right. This is the side entrance door. There's light under it, light along the side. That just needs to be made weather tight. So some weather stripping can be put on there. And then some repairs to the lock to make sure the lock is sound. All The majority of the windows in the property are missing sash cords. They don't have clips in them either. So the windows need to have either sash cords or clips. Again, that was noted in my December inspection. Let's see. Let me go back up to there. This was noted in my original inspection. This is in the first floor bedroom. There's a hole in the window sash that you can stick your finger through. So it allows entry for bugs and things of that nature. So that sash just needs to be repaired. Not a big deal. There's a window sash in the front second floor bedroom that is coming apart. So you can see there where the sash has fallen down and the glass has a gap. So that just needs to be repaired. And then I did not take a photograph of the exterior violations. But the majority of those were addressed as well. There's just the garage also needs to be painted. And that was on the orders that were issued by Mr. Graham that the owner was granted an extension for a couple months ago. That case was resolved.
Jody, did the original orders address high grass and weeds and trash in the rear of the lot?
No, they did not.
Okay, then not addressable here.
Okay, Mr. McGee.
All right,
Do you-
so if I understand, Ms. Forster has listed everything that still needs to be corrected in her opinion. So there's nothing else that hasn't been mentioned here today that needs corrected. And I'll address a couple of these, but I mean, I just want to make sure I understand that. Is that correct?
Ms.
I was
Forster?
addressing the violations that I noted previously. There are a few items that I noted at the property today that should be addressed, but I did not issue orders on them. One of them being the corner siding pieces missing on the front of the house and a piece of fascia that's missing on the front of the house.
But Mr. McGee's appeal only pertains to those orders from December, is that correct?
That is correct. And I have not issued additional orders for those siding. I just noted to the maintenance man that that's something that should be addressed.
Okay. All right. I'd like to point out initially that this is a Zeus Properties appeal of citations, and Zeus Properties does not own the building anymore. Kronos Properties does. And so acknowledging what Ms. Forster has just listed, I need to point out that Zeus Properties doesn't have any ability to make any changes, doesn't own the property, can't make any repairs whatsoever. But having said that, I acknowledge that some of these repairs need to be done, and Kronos Properties owns the property. And so I think we have to sort of address this in two different ways. One is legally speaking, Zeus Properties can't do anything. Practically speaking, Kronos Properties, which is a related entity, can take care of these issues. Moving on to the list.
Mr. McGee, let me just
Yes.
stop you there so we can get this straight. My notes show the appellant is Kronos Properties, not Zeus. Jody,
Okay.
is that
That's
correct?
because there was a transfer of title.
Okay,
There was a transfer of title, and Mr. McGee, as a representative of Kronos Properties, wanted to see the appeal through.
Yeah, so
Okay.
this is an appeal. This is a Kronos appeal that we're addressing now, not a Zeus Properties appeal. Is that right?
The appeal was filed by Zeus Properties. I thought we touched on that at last month's meeting.
Right.
And it
I
was
think
the
I
board, it was the board that decided to keep the case open and to grant an additional continuance to a new owner.
So
That
My
being
point-
said, the housing division has no objection to granting additional time for the remaining repairs to be completed to the property.
and I acknowledge that some of these repairs need done. light, the light showing through the side door. I'm not sure what the problem with the lock is on the side door, but I'll look at it. I was there about a week ago and I didn't see a problem with the lock on the side door. There's two locks. There's a deadbolt, a normal deadbolt lock on the side door. And then there's also like an old lock that is sort of a vestigial lock. It's left over from, I don't know, it looks like it's 50-year-old lock or more. It's non-functional, it doesn't work, but it doesn't matter in my opinion, because there's a brand new deadbolt lock on there, which we
Well,
have
if
to
a
keep.
new lock was placed on there, then that's fine.
Okay. The little hole in the window sash in the first floor bedroom, we'll take care of that. The second floor window sash, looked like the glass was loose in the sash from that photograph. We'll take care of
Actually,
that.
the sash is coming apart.
Okay. We'll take care of that. Let's talk about the dishwasher for a second. So the dishwasher, I see the photograph there. It's on the screen. I assume everybody else can see that photograph too. It looks dirty, or there's stagnant water in there or something. I'd like to point out, first of all, when I bought this house, it wasn't, or when Zeus Properties bought this house, I personally never owned it, but when Zeus Properties bought this house, it was vacant, it was dilapidated, it was not fit for anybody to live in. We repaired it, Zeus Properties fixed it up. It's a nice house now, providing housing for family that, you know, wasn't able to live somewhere before that. Nevertheless, the house came with this dishwasher. It's not connected to the electric. It's not connected to the plumbing. It's totally non-functional. So the choice was to either pull it out of there and have a hole, or leave it there so that visually it looks a little bit okay, but with the understanding that every time a tenant comes in, I explain to them, you can't use it. It's not a functioning dishwasher, just leave it alone. But having said that, if the objection to it or the problem with it is that it's all nasty on the inside, I'd like to point out that the Environmental Health Housing Code, section 150.12F says, with regard to plumbing fixtures, every occupant of a dwelling unit shall keep all plumbing fixtures therein in a clean and sanitary condition. So the occupant is responsible for keeping it clean. It's not the
This
owner.
problem existed prior to your new occupant. So you have a new tenant in there, and this problem existed prior to the new tenant moving in.
I'll agree with that, but that doesn't change what the code says. The code says the occupant is responsible, and there's no exceptions listed here if it's a new occupant or what.
Mr.
whatever.
McGee, if it's not connected to anything, is it a plumbing fixture?
I would argue that it's not a plumbing fixture. It's just a decoration to hold the space so that it doesn't look ugly with a hole in the cabinet.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
it's Dwayne Greger, Housing Administrator. The dishwasher is not a plumbing fixture. It is a supplied piece of equipment. And the owner of a property is required to keep in good working order any supplied utility or piece of equipment.
Well, Madam Chair, I would argue that it's not a supplied piece of equipment. I did not supply it, or Zeus Properties or Kronos Properties did not supply it to any tenant. It's just there to hold a space. And the tenant was clearly instructed that it's that they're not to use it. It's just holding the space. That's it. It's not supplied to anybody.
Madam Chair, could I ask a question?
Please do, Mr. York.
So is the problem here, I guess it's a question for Ms. Forrester, is the problem that it has water in it? It's not that it's there and it doesn't work? Or what's the violation?
Both of those issues are a violation of our code.
Okay.
So Jody, let me understand. The stagnant water I can see would be a health issue. A non-functioning appliance is also a violation of code?
Yes.
But only if the functioning or the non-functioning appliance is being supplied to the tenant for the tenant's use or for the occupant's use. And it's not a supplied device. I mean, look, the only other option here, because it's not going to work. I mean, it was tested when the building was first built or first purchased. It's not going to work. So the options are to either take it out and have a big hole there, which is sort of visually a slightly uncomfortable situation for people living in the house, or just leave it there. And, you know, I guess it should be cleaned out. So in case a kid opens it or whatever, the smell's not going to come in the house. But other than that, it doesn't seem to be a problem. And
You could close the space off.
Or put
If you
cabinets
pulled
in
it out, just put a panel in front of the opening.
Or put panels in, make shelves,
Or just buy a new dishwasher.
which is cheaper.
Or put a piece of floor down and use it as a space to store trash can.
I think a lot of it is too, is that, Mr. McGee, how would you like to have that at your house? You wouldn't. You wouldn't live with it.
I've personally had a non-functioning dishwasher for about a year at one point. My dishwasher works now. It took me a year to get a new one when it broke.
Did the water sit in it like that for the year it wasn't working?
No. I'm pretty sure I cleaned it out or drained it somehow. But nevertheless, it's all I'm saying is, I guess if you want me to take it out, I think I don't want to minimize what Ms. Forster is what her job is and everything, but I think she's making a big deal about a very, very, very minor issue in this house with this dishwasher. Okay. There's other minor issues too, little hole in the sash and things like that. Those can be addressed. This one just kind of rubs me wrong because it's not supplied to the tenants. It's not a device that anybody intends to be used. And if we pull it out, then maybe there's no code violation, but then we got a hole there. There's a couple of suggestions that the board members tossed to me there that might work. You know, I've got other apartments that I'm working on trying to get them repaired so that we can move more people who don't have a place to live into those. And I got to take a half day out of that to come over here and drag this dishwasher out and then put a couple of shelves in there.
Jody, could you read for the board the order that addresses this?
Hold on a minute.
Madam Chair, while she's looking for that, could I make a note that in the definitions of the Environmental Health Housing Code, the definition of supplied is paid for, furnished, or provided by, or under the control of the owner or operator. The mere existence of the dishwasher in the property makes it supplied.
Okay, the order that was issued in regards to the dishwasher was in conjunction with the other plumbing repairs that have been completed already to the upstairs bathroom. It was have existing plumbing fixtures and apertures put in a good state of repair.
Okay, so it was general to cover several items.
Correct.
I disagree that it's being supplied to the occupant. I heard what Mr. Greger said, and I disagree.
Mr. Greger, you're saying that if there is a dishwasher in the home, it's being provided to the people that are living in that residence. And Mr. McGee is saying, since it is non-functioning and he is letting the tenants know that it's non-functioning, it's not a dishwasher being supplied to them. Is that where our differences are?
Yeah, that's my understanding. My understanding is that Mr. McGee is looking for a justification to leave a dishwasher full of stagnant water in an apartment that he doesn't live in.
And Ms. Williams, that wasn't Mr. Greger's opinion. That was Mr. Greger reading the housing code.
Correct. And Mr. McGee's interpretation is that he is not providing the tenants with a dishwasher because he is telling them that's not a functioning dishwasher. It just
Right.
happens to be
But the
something that's
fact that-
sitting there.
That's
Yes.
right. The mere existence of the dishwasher at the house doesn't mean that it's being supplied. If that dishwasher, for example, was sitting on the back porch, not plugged into anything, just sitting there, it obviously wouldn't be supplied to anyone. No reasonable person would think that they could try and use it sitting there on the back porch, or if it was on the back, in the backyard or in the garage or something like that, it doesn't mean it was supplied. So the mere existence.
We
of
would
it at
still
the
make you
property-
remove it,
I'm sorry?
but we would still make you remove it, whether it was on the back porch or the backyard.
Well, if it was in the garage, I don't think anyone would have an objection to it sitting there.
Well, then put it in the garage.
Wait a minute, we're getting way off track. We're talking about hypotheticals. Talk about what's actually going on here. This is a dishwasher in a kitchen, in a cabinet, which is built for this very purpose. By definition, it exists and it's being supplied.
Yeah.
I mean, if this is the only order that's at issue, I would recommend that the board consider denying the appeal, and Mr. McGee can take his, argument up with the courts, and we'll go that route. Or another option would be, he could agree to remove the dishwasher.
Okay, Mr. McGee, let me just set the dishwasher aside for a moment. Basically, the other orders you agree were valid, and you have either taken care of them already or are willing to. The holes in the window sashes and the sash cords and those sorts of things. Windows need to be operational, so they need sash cords or clips, that sort of thing. So is this the only order in which you really have a problem?
Yes. The other things I'll take care of in very short order. I'd like to point out something that is on topic, but not super focused on topic here. Okay, so Ms. Forrester said that some of these things were noted in her first inspection. I'd like to point out that both Zeus Properties and Kronos Properties have never seen these photographs from Ms. Forrester, have never received from her anything other than the notice of citation and like a cover letter. The citation itself has 8 bullet points, and they really, I understand this is the format that the housing department uses, but they just list the code section number and sort of a quote from the code. And so it's really either up to me to kind of guess and figure out what each of these items means, or call Ms. Forrester, which I do, or send her a letter and I don't get a response. This maybe is not a forum for me to pick on Ms. Forrester, but I'm not getting the details that you guys are getting in this hearing, except when I show up at the hearings.
Numerous individuals that I've worked with over the past 23 years have contacted me, asked me for the specifics as to my notes, and I've expeditiously and willingly, with no problem, provided that information to them. I could have scanned my notes and sent them to you had you requested that in one of the emails or letters that you sent to me. If you had reached me by phone at one of the times that I provided to you that I would be sitting at my desk and available to take your phone call, I would have been more than happy to provide that to you. Again, over the past 23 years, I've had numerous property owners request that information of me or any of the inspectors in this office, and we provide that with no questions asked.
Mr. McGee, Ms. Forrester does take the photographs just for the board members because she has seen the property. We are assuming that the owners have access to see the property, but our board members do not. So she provides the photographs for us so that we have a better understanding of what we're talking about. That's why you don't get those.
Okay, I get it with the photographs, but she says she'll give me her notes and explanations and things like that. Okay, she's been doing this for I don't know how long, 20 or 30 years. I haven't. So whether I ask her the right questions or not, I don't think is the creation for the problem. Okay, again, maybe this isn't the forum for me to pick on Ms. Forrester. Maybe I should just call her and we can work this out. Okay, but I'm feeling really picked on by Ms. Forrester.
No, because if you would have said to me, can you explain this further? I'm not quite sure what it is you want. I would have taken as much time as necessary, and I would have listed everything out for you. I would have sent you a copy of my notes. Anything that would have helped you. If you would have came to me with any question as to whether you knew what I wanted from you or what I expected from you, I would have provided you more than enough information.
I sent you a letter right after this December 21, 2020 notice was received. So it would have been about a week after that.
And I did attempt to contact you.
and asking for some specific guidance on some of these because again, the details are not in the violations notice. I didn't get anything from it.
I did attempt to contact you, Mr. McGee. We played phone tag.
Okay, we are getting a little off track. You folks may need to reach out to each other kind of offline and figure
That's
out where the
correct. This is off
communication.
topic.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
you know, at this point, I'd just like to reiterate that the Housing Division has provided evidence that has determined this property was in violation at the time of the inspection. The notice and order were provided on the appropriate form. The notice and order listed the housing code violations, referenced the housing code sections in violation, and ordered remedial action. The order gave a reasonable time to comply and was served to a proper owner or interested party according to the Housing Division's title search and inspection. And we continue to recommend that this appeal be denied.
thank you, Mr. Geiger. I think Mr. McGee has agreed that most of the things either have already been taken care of or can and will be taken care of. The dishwasher is one issue. Jody, I have a question about one other item.
Sure.
And I think it was paint the garage.
Correct.
Mr. McGee, where are you on paint the garage?
I would just like to state that goes back to the orders that were issued by Aaron Graham on December 9th, 2020. The last order on there was to clean and properly protect all exterior structural surfaces by painting or use of other approved protective covering. In parentheses, it states house and garage. The appeal for that set of orders has already been dealt with. That was dealt with at a previous hearing.
I'd like to point out that the house was painted. I don't know if
Correct.
Ms. Forster
I
noted
did
that or.
state the house was painted.
Yes, she did say that. It was just the garage.
Okay. Okay. The garage could use painted.
Okay, so really the one issue in which there is some conflict is the dishwasher. Is that it? Is that the only
Right.
item?
I think so. And, you know, I would ask for another 2 weeks to get all these other items done. The garage
Well,
painted.
Division
Ms.
has no
Forrester has
objection.
indicated that she is willing to grant some additional time, I think.
All right.
To finish these up. So what the board has in front of them now is the appeal of the orders. Are there any other questions from board members? Or is there a motion? If the board denies the appeal, the board is stating that they believe that the orders as written were valid, were properly served. If the board upholds the appeal, they are saying that those orders were not valid. But I
Madam
think
Chairman.
that I think in discussion, we have determined pretty much, other than the contentious dishwasher, that the orders were valid. And Mr. McGee, you have been working diligently to comply, fix those things that needed to be fixed, and the few that are left, you have agreed that you would fix. So my
Yes.
guess is, I can't speak for the board because they often surprise me. My guess is that there will be a motion to deny the appeal, just saying that the orders were proper and that you're fixing the things that were at issue. The one bone of contention is the dishwasher. And I believe, Jody, don't let me speak for you. I believe you have agreed that Mr. McGee still, can get another couple of weeks or whatever he needs to finish up those final repairs.
That is correct.
Okay, with that understanding, is there a motion?
Madam Chairman. Appeal case 0521, the property at 601 Talbot Avenue. In that, at the time of their issuance, The orders were properly delivered. I move we deny the appeal.
Second.
Okay, and Mr. Dobberton, your motion had no exceptions, so
It
I am
did not.
assuming that you believe the dishwasher order was valid. Is that correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Mr. McGee, good luck. Thank you for the work that you have done. I'm glad that you were able to get your problem child tenant out of the property so that you were able to get in, see what needed to be done and fix up the property. So if you get a new tenant, they're living in a much better spot. So I'm
Right.
sure they
And, we
appreciate
didn't
that.
talk-
We appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate that compliment. We didn't talk much about that tenant today because we thoroughly exhausted that topic, I think, the last couple of times, but she's gone and I can get in there now and do all kinds of things. Yeah.
And I'm sure, you probably did have questions about the orders because you were not able to get in and see the property, but I'm glad that you now have been able to, and that you recognize that there were some things that needed to be done. And we appreciate the fact that you're moving forward on getting them done for us. So
Thank you.
stay in touch with Ms. Forrester, and if you folks need to discuss how communication could be better, do that offline somewhere.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Everybody have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam Chair, I'm bringing in Holly Lucas for the 1292 Harmon case.
You.
And on that note, I'd like to be excused, please, for that one.
Okay, are you just going to mute, Lanita?
I am,
I mean,
yeah.
do you want to listen to the case and you can just mute and turn off your camera if you want, or you can leave your camera on and just mute and not take part?
I'll turn off the camera. That way I'll know when you're finished and I'll come back to it.
Okay.
Just to clarify for the record and for Ms. Lucas's knowledge, Ms. Jones, Member Jones is going to abstain.
Okay,
from this
thank you.
matter, as I think she has in the past as well.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah. Thank you.
We ready to roll?
I think so. Do you want to present the case, Jody?
Review case 5823, 1292 Harmon Avenue. At the Housing Appeals Board meeting of
Jody?
April.
This is a review case, isn't it?
Yeah, didn't I say review case?
I thought you said new, but I might be wrong.
I'll just start over. Review case 5823, 1292 Harmon Avenue. At the Housing Appeals Board meeting of April 20th, 2021, the board granted an extension until May 18th, 2021 to complete the sale of the property, keep the property secure, keep the property free of refuse, have the new owner provide a 30, 60, 90-day plan, and appear at the next meeting. The exterior only was inspected on May 14th, 2021. There has been no progress to the repairs, but the yard is clean and the grass is cut. As of yesterday, the title had not transferred. And I did email all of you information that Ms. Lucas had sent to me regarding the new owner's plans.
Okay. Ms. Lucas, could you give us your name and address for the record, please?
Certainly. It is Holly Lucas, and address is updated from previous, and so it is 14920 Senfield with a C, Cenfield Street, Northeast, Alliance, Ohio 44601.
And your interest in this property is?
I am the attorney representing the administrator of the estate, Rosalind Gaines, for the estate of Samuel Biggers.
Okay, so where are we? We still don't have a title transfer?
I am still on this. I was hoping to
Tired of
was
this.
hoping to not be. I'll be perfectly candid. So we are making progress on that. The unfortunate thing that happened after the last hearing, the property transferred. When it transfers from the estate, it transfers to multiple beneficiaries who had then signed the purchase agreement to transfer to the new owner, the buyer, who you would receive the 30, 60, 90 day for. It had come to my attention after the title company was doing their title search on the property itself came back clear. Title company was ready to close until they received notification that one of the named sellers, then a beneficiary of the estate, had filed for bankruptcy. And so at that point in time, they needed to get verification that one of the sellers, being the beneficiary, could actually have the authority to sell the property, to receive the proceeds, and to handle some of the expenses that were going to come from that settlement statement. So that's what we've been spending time trying to get that verification from. We did receive verification this week that, in fact, we can go forward with that. There are no issues. I will tell you, the buyer is extremely eager to have ownership and possession, and has followed up diligently on this matter, as well as the administrator is very eager to sell and no longer have to have this as a pending issue for the estate administration. So I know it was an unfortunate hiccup. I tried to then provide as much information as far as what he had provided with his 30, 60, 90 days from Bernard Lewis for his anticipated repairs and rehab for the property. They have been keeping it, as Jody had mentioned, the yard is mowed, debris is clear. And to the best of my knowledge and based on the report that was given, there haven't been any further complaints on the condition of the property. So we would ask for just a little bit more time just to finally get this transfer done. So these repairs can be made, because unfortunately this is basically the only asset of the estate. And so there's no ability for them to do the repairs until it's sold to the new buyer.
We have a best guess as to when this finally might be able to transfer to Mr. Lewis?
Before the next hearing. The title company did come back and said they had that. So we're looking probably, just based on 3-day rescission period, probably beginning of next week.
So Mr. Lewis would then be able to begin repairs.
He could then begin
immediately
some of those
upon
repairs. Exactly. Yes.
Mr. Lewis is not with us tonight, is that correct?
He is not, no.
I don't know if I've ever asked this, and if I have, I've forgotten, and I apologize. Is Mr. Lewis local?
Yes, he is local.
Okay. Board members, any questions?
Yes. If we grant an extension, would Mr. Lewis be able to appear at the next meeting with a list of scheduled repairs?
Based upon the information that I have received from him, yes, I think that there would be no issue with him appearing, and I would gladly transition that conversation over to him,
Sure
for him to be able to share the specifics of his plans moving forward and the work that's done at that point in time.
And I'm assuming, and I know you can't address this, but I'm assuming to the board that if title transfers to Mr. Lewis, hopefully in the next week or so, that by the time he appears before us for our June meeting, he should have been able to complete the items that he has listed as the first 2 weeks things to do on his list of repairs and timing that he gave us. Does that make sense to the board, that we should be able to expect that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions for Ms. Lucas, or is there a motion?
How about review case 5823, the property at 1292 Harmon Avenue. I move we grant an extension to our June meeting to allow completion of the transfer of title of the property and the new owner to begin repairs.
Second.
Do you want the security of refuse, that inspection added onto your motion?
Do you want an inspection, Jody?
We are expecting that the new owner will have begun repairs.
Repairs, all right. Schedule an interior inspection and keep the property secure, free of debris.
Thank you.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? And we have one abstention from Renita.
Abstain.
Thank you. Okay, good luck.
Thank
I
you.
hope we don't see you, not that we haven't enjoyed it.
It's been lovely, but I would prefer not, and to move forward and handling some other matters to wrap this
Yeah,
up.
we'll
but
let you go help other folks, and we will look forward to seeing Mr. Lewis next month.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Do we have anybody else waiting, Mr. Greger?
Madam Chair, we have no one waiting at this time.
Okie dokie. We will then move forward through the rest of the agenda.
Okay.
All right, review case 5867, 1137 East Avenue. At the Housing Appeals Board meeting of April 20th, 2021, the board granted an extension until May 18th, 2021 to schedule an immediate interior inspection, complete all exterior orders, keep the property secure, keep the property free of debris, and schedule an inspection before the next meeting. The only inspection of the property was on May 17th, 2021. Mr. Spino was present, stated that he had the paperwork to transfer the title and to get the tax issues addressed. He was actually at the property working on the roof at the time of my inspection. Remaining repairs include replace the roof with a permit, provide gutters and downspouts, repair front porch floor, steps, ceiling, and railings, add gravel to driveway, repair, replace windows, provide rear steps, repair and paint siding, repair right rear foundation, repair rear entrance door threshold, repair rear basement door, remove trees at foundation, repair fascia and eaves, secure the entrance cable, remove debris from interior, clean and seal the basement walls, provide furnace and hot water tank, tuck point interior foundation, repair the electric with a licensed electrician, repair basement landing and steps, repair walls and ceilings in most rooms, repair or replace kitchen cabinets, repair warped flooring in kitchen and living room, remove carpet, replace attic step tread, repair interior doors, secure register vents, and provide smoke detectors and utilities. When I met him at the property yesterday, I was under the assumption that he was going to be at the hearing this evening.
Yeah, I was just going to ask if he indicated that he would not. And did you say he did not schedule the inspection?
He scheduled
The
one
initial one?
inspection, not the
scheduled-
initial one, but one yesterday.
Oh, he didn't schedule the initial one.
Correct.
Okay, so we asked that he complete all exterior work. What actually did get done outside?
They were working on the roof. And they cut some trees back from the house.
Okay, so we did not get the initial inspection that we asked for. And not only did we not get exterior work complete, we barely got anything at all. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okie dokie. And he's not here this evening.
Of course not.
Okay. Thoughts from the board?
Okay,
I can't say I'm really thrilled with this.
well, here we go. New case 5875 835 East Avenue. Where- Yes,
No.
what?
It's 1137 East Avenue.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're looking at the wrong case, Kathy. Just pull your other East Avenue one.
Back there, okay. Give me 2 seconds then.
Yeah, we had two on East Avenue. That's what got
Right,
confusing.
right. That was my fault. That was my fault. Because I had it and I flipped back to the other one.
Yeah.
I never said I was all there.
We're just glad you're here at all.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Review case 5867 1137 East Avenue. Whereas under the inspections that there has been no progress with the work on this property, I move the property be raised with all costs assessed.
Jody, before we get a second, I just want to make sure, right, we've got our ducks in a row.
Right.
Is it fair to say no progress, or has it been very minimal?
Very minimal.
Minimal progress, okay.
Very minimal.
Very minimal, okay. There's been very minimal progress.
Is part of the motion also that the property constitutes a public nuisance?
Yeah, no, we need to.
I would fatten it out a little bit the way you often do.
So how,
Kathy, can I suggest
go ahead.
that because the property has had very minimal compliance with orders, that it has been vacant, vandalized, dilapidated, is tax delinquent, in foreclosure, and the deteriorated condition is a blighting influence on the neighborhood. You move that we raise the property, cost assessed.
Right. Cost assessed on this. That'd be raised.
Kathy, you accept the new wording?
Yes, ma'am.
And was there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? I'm sorry, Mr. Miller did not see fit to do a little more to this, or at least come and explain to us why he hadn't. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
New case 5873 539 Alpha Avenue. There has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, the scene of police activity, is tax delinquent, has been secured by the city, and is not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the Housing Division recommends that it be demolished with all costs assessed.
New case 5873, 539 Alpha Avenue, where there has been no compliance with housing orders against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, police activity, tax delinquent, secured by the city, not registered. The deterioration condition of this property is a blighted influence on the neighborhood, and I move we raise with all costs assessed.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
New case 5875, 835 East Avenue. There has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated. It is tax delinquent, has been secured by the city, and is not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the Housing Division recommends that it be demolished with all costs assessed.
New case 5875, 835 East Avenue. There has been no compliance with the housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized. It is dilapidated. It is tax delinquent by $8,907.38. It is secured by the city and not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood. I move that this property be raised without cost suitably assessed.
Second.
Any discussion? Jody, I have a question, and it might be just stupid and picky, and it might not matter, but I just want to make sure it doesn't matter. Pretty much on every synopsis, the last item is the date and that the file was referred for review to the Housing Appeals Board. This one doesn't say that. I don't know if it needs to.
It doesn't have to say that.
Okay.
That's just what I've chosen to do. So that was my fault for not putting that last line in.
Okay, no, that's okay. I just wanted to make sure that, it wasn't something that needed to be on there. So if anybody came back and asked anything, it was.
No, the synopsis is strictly for the board
Notes for
members
us.
to have a history of the file.
Okay, just wanted to make sure we put it in there if it had to be. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
New case 5876, 1212 Herman Avenue. There has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated, is tax delinquent, has been secured by the city, and is not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the Housing Division recommends that it be demolished with all costs assessed.
New case 5876, 1212 Herman Avenue, where there has been no compliance with housing orders against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated, tax delinquent, secured by the city, not registered. The deterioration condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and I move we raise with all costs assessed.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
New case 5877, 1217 Herman Avenue. There has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated, It is tax delinquent, has been secured by the city, and is not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the Housing Division recommends that it be demolished with all cost assessed.
New case 5877-1217 Stroman Avenue. Whereas there has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated, tax delinquent, has been secured by the city, is not registered, and the deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood. I move that this property be raised with all costs assessed.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
New case 5878-963 Stadelman Avenue. There has been no compliance with housing orders issued against this property, which is vacant, dilapidated, tax delinquent, and not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the Housing Division recommends that it be demolished with all costs assessed.
New
Madam
case
Chair.
5878.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
excuse me. Wayne, this is a disaster waiting to happen. There are little children on that block and living next door to it. And that whole front porch roof is in danger of collapsing if anybody so much as sneezes on it. I'm assuming we're going to raise this, but can we get it expedited for public safety?
let's vote first to make sure we know what we're doing with it, and then we
All
can
right.
discuss.
Well, yeah, because there's another one on Harmon that's in the same condition. I mean, on Herman, that's the same condition.
Can I have a motion again?
Okay. New case 5878-963 Stadelman Avenue, in that there has been no compliance with orders issued against this property, which is vacant and dilapidated, tax delinquent, and not registered. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood. I move we raise with costs assessed.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Mr. Gregor, can you address Mr. Dauberton's question?
Yes, once the appeal time has expired, if it's ready to move forward with demolition, we can certainly put it on our priority list. Absent an emergency demolition order from the city's chief building officer, we would not be able to tear the property down any earlier, but I can ask him to review or take a look at the property to see if an emergency action might be warranted.
Thank you. The little girls next door are really cute.
Mr. Gregor, president of our department.
You ready?
I have a question.
Lanita has something.
Okay.
There is a house, and I can't remember the address, Herman, that we just voted on. One of them, their porch is that way. I'd have to see the picture again.
It's 1212 Herman. It's the rear porch.
Actually, the front porch, front and rear, I guess. It is dilapidated.
The front gutter has fallen off, but it's the rear porch that's collapsed.
Right, and that's also a safety hazard in that particular area, because the house has been empty for so long that people do fool around in that, on that street, in those two houses, along with the dealers, drug dealers.
We'll make note of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Waiver case 5880, 698 Diagonal Road. That the property is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated, heavily fire damaged. All lien holders of record have been notified, and the owner has submitted a voluntary demolition waiver stating that the property is in such a state of disrepair as to create a serious hazard to the health and safety of the community. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the Housing Division recommends that it be demolished with all costs assessed.
Waiver case 5880, 698 Diagonal Road. The owner has submitted a voluntary demolition waiver stating that the property is in such a state of disrepair as to create a serious hazard to the health and safety of the community. This house is vacant, it is dilapidated, heavily fire damaged. All holders of record have been notified. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood. I move this property be ordered demolished according to the voluntary demolition waiver submitted.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
sorry to interrupt. We're getting some side noise coming from somebody's speaker or microphone. I just asked if anyone that's not speaking, if they could mute themselves, please.
Okay.
All right, the last case is waiver case 5881, 450 West Wilbeth Road. And that the property is vacant, heavily vandalized, dilapidated. All lien holders of record have been notified, and the owner has submitted a voluntary demolition waiver stating that the property is in such a state of disrepair as to create a serious hazard to the health and safety of the community. The deteriorated condition of this property is a blighting influence on the neighborhood, and the Housing Division recommends that it be demolished with all costs assessed.
Waiver case 5881, the property at 450 West Wilbeth Road. In that this property is vacant, vandalized, dilapidated, and all lien holders of record have been notified. And the owner has submitted a voluntary demolition waiver stating that the property is in such a state of disrepair as to create a serious hazard to the health and safety of the community, and that the deteriorated condition is a blighting influence on a neighborhood. I move we raise with cost assessed.
Second. Second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Anything else for the good of the order?
Yes, Madam Chair, we'd like to ask if Cindy could give us her email address one more time so that Michaeline can make note of it to make sure that she's on the distribution list.
Thank you. It's advancedcourtreporting@yahoo.com. Advanced with a D. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Then I think you can stop the recording and stop the live broadcast.
Are we adjourned?
We are adjourned. Sorry. Our next meeting is, let me think, June 15th.